this video is a tutorial on. This video is gonna be the first video on I guess like this series of tutorial on how to set up your computer and like everything so that you can learn competitive programming. Um, yeah. So first of all, you want to choose a language, right? So here I'll give you a list of languages to choose from. There's Python, which is easy to learn. Easy to learn. Uh, and then but it's really slow, very slow, right? There's also C++, which is a little harder to learn, but very fast, right? It's one of the fastest out there for competitive programming, at least. There's Java. It's a little harder, again. It's like in a different format from Python and C++. C++ and Java are a little similar, but not like very similar, right? Uh, um, and it's faster than Python. But yeah, and then when I say slow, it's like so that means when you're I guess when you're submitting a code, it it just runs much slower, right? The code just runs much slower than other languages like C++ and Java. So with Python, uh, not min. Sometimes what happens is that uh, when you submit a code, uh, you just don't get full points, just because Python is way too slow for I guess the code to meet its time limit, right? If you were to code the same thing on C++, it would have worked, but it just doesn't work because you did it on Python and it's way too slow for it, right? So that may happen sometimes, but if you're already comfortable with Python and you're trying to teach yourself uh competitive programming, then I would definitely choose I would just go with Python. And when you're in like a level in which like you're starting to notice that doing Python is way too slow, then I would change into like a language like C++. And I wouldn't by that point I wouldn't even consider Java, because I think it's just better for people to learn C++ than Java. Um, because it's much faster, and Java sometimes just takes too the coding, the whole thing is like a little too long at times, but like you just have to code like some other stuff in order for it to work, while you could have just coded this one thing in C++ and it would have worked. And one thing to note is that C++ is the most popular, right? Most popular. And then people usually uh competitions, competitive programming competitions will 100% let you use C++, because obviously it's the most popular, and they just let you use it, right? Uh, Here I'll show you an example. Like here, this is Usica. This is a If you don't know about Usica, it's a competitive programming platform for high schoolers, in order to like where people compete, right? And so this is Usica, and then these are the languages you can use: C++11, C++17. Both are basically the same thing. They're just like different. They just have some other additional features. Like C++17 has some other stuff that C++11 doesn't have. And there's obviously Java and Python 2 and Python 3. Basically, Python 2 is a little different from Python 3, but it's like the same thing with C++11 and C++17, but with a little more differences, right? And then these are usually the three common languages they let you use, and there's also C in this, which runs quite fast, but you just have too many things to code in order for something to work in C. So like for example, let's say you have like this portion of code you want to write, right? In Python, you could have done it in like one or two steps. C++, one or two step. Java, maybe three, or just same thing as C++, and then C, it just requires like 5 more code because you have this data set that, I guess, data type that's not available in C++, and you have to just code it all out, and like all that bad stuff, and so it just gets way too complicated in competitive programming. So like, yeah. And then C++, it's really good because it just has many data structures available for you to use, like sets, maps, I don't know, uh what would there be? Uh oh well, it has a lot of stuff. Python has that too, but it just does it in a slower manner, and Java also has it too. But yeah, so C++, I would recommend you learn C++. But if you already have a language that you're really familiar with, I would just use that. Well, yeah. So that's the first step in setting up everything to I guess, do competitive programming. And oh, one more thing. If you want to, well, you obviously have to download at least uh, download these language, right? You can't just start coding in C++ and like run it in your computer without downloading C++. So if you want to download a language, what I suggest you to do is you just search up how to uh, download a language on Google or YouTube, right? If you want a tutorial. So like for example, how to download Python. You click on the first website. Click on this, it will automatically download Python. How to download C++. C++ is a little different, but see, there's just a YouTube tutorial on it. Um, and then how to download Java, right? You just click on this. Yep, and it'll just take you to a download place. And after downloading a language, then you wanna have a place where you can I guess write the code, right? You can't just write it on Google Docs. That's not really how coding works. So I have Visual Studio Code right here with me. I really like it. You can download many sets of feature on it, like background theme. Well, there are a bunch of extensions right here for you to download. So I would recommend VS Code, but there's also like Visual Studio Code, but there's also Sublime Text, right? Autumn, uh, no, Atom. Yeah, I'm sorry. Atom. Yeah, yeah, yeah. There is there's a bunch more, but yeah, I recommend Visual Studio Code. So code download right here, and you just download it, right? And then when you're struggling on downloading stuff, just search it up. Just search it up on the internet. You'll probably get it. And it's, well, you have the internet for yourself. So like, hey, just use it for good, right? So yeah, that's how you that's, I guess, the first step in doing this. Yeah, I wish you luck on your competitive programming pathway. I don't know. But yeah, bye.